Kavod Press presents The Boundary of Blood, a novel by Cliff Graham, read by the author. Preface. In the days of Shamgar, son of Anath, the highways were abandoned. Travelers took to winding paths. Villagers in Israel would not fight. Judges 5:6-7. Prologue. In honor of the 10th year of the reign of Solomon, son of David, king in Jerusalem, servant of the Most High God Yahweh. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is God, Yahweh is one. I, Jehoshaphat, historian of the court, have been commissioned to record chronicles of the warriors of Israel for you, great king. They were the men of renown who fought to give our people this land. They journeyed through deserts with Moses, conquered with Joshua, judged the tribes, and obeyed Yahweh our God. Your fathers shed the blood necessary to establish your throne, and, praise be to God, you will never need to join soldiers on campaign in foreign lands. We are grateful for the prosperity you have cultivated, but I must confess that it brings me regrets. Troubling whispers haunt the palace corridors. You have stopped seeing your counselors. You no longer meet frequently with your generals. You spend most of your days in the harem. At the risk of incurring your wrath, great king, you must learn to listen to important truths, even if you do not want to hear them. Your father had many failures, but he always listened to his counselors, and he always sought the favor of our mighty God. I advise you to do the same. Your father's hands were calloused by war. Yours are soft with oil and perfume. Though wise beyond compare, you are not possessed with infinite knowledge, and your unwillingness to follow your father's example will make you weak. You will never know what it is like sitting near a campfire the night before a desperate battle, the camaraderie, the tales being spun of laughter and bravery, and of quiet fear. Yahweh is closest in those moments. This is my effort to tell you their stories, and perhaps in the telling of them, it will be as though you are there next to the flames, smelling the good smell of wood smoke, listening to the roaring laughs, and wondering whether you will earn your seat at tomorrow night's fire. I have chosen to tell you the story of Shamgar, son of Anath. He was one of those who judged the people in the days after Joshua. I believe there is much for you to learn from him. During this age of prosperity in our kingdom, established by the sword of your father, it is easy to forget what our ancestors suffered. Therefore, it is important to give you a description of the enemy at the time of the following events. Your mighty father brought the cities of Philistia to their knees, and now their kings present themselves to you as vassals, their faces pressed against the floor of your golden throne room with your foot on their necks. But it was not always this way. Centuries ago, the 5 cities on the coast had all power in the region. Philistine kings ruled our lands from these cities, and the tribes of our father Jacob suffered many lifetimes under the Philistine yoke. The Philistines were not conquerors like Egypt, bringing with them the order and protection they enjoyed in their own lands. They stole our crops every spring, and our people starved, but they did not stay, and whenever they left our hills after plundering and raping, vicious bandits emerged. No one could travel freely on the roads. As this tale begins, the Israelites are leaderless. They have not been allowed to possess weapons by their Philistine overlords, and men of Israel must beg for tool repairs from Philistine smiths. These events occur at a narrow pass in the mountains near the city of Azekah, at the top of the Elah Valley. Your father knew it well, and killed the Philistine giant Goliath there. It is a place where many of our sons have been cut down, because it is the last place invaders can be stopped. It is a place where the women of Israel shiver with fear at the mention of its name. Here, mothers become childless. Here, wives become widows. It is called the Boundary of Blood. Dedication. For every man who has ever been broken. Part 1. Chapter 1. In our land, storms come from the west. They build over the great sea, cross the cedar-dense forests of Lebanon, and roll through the plains of Philistia, gaining power as they climb into the hill country. Rain can last for days. Every stream becomes a torrent. Every slope a cascade of rushing water, destroying crops and washing out roads. In winter, snow gathers quickly and heavily in the mountains. Animals freeze to death, as do unfortunate travelers caught unaware. Those who dwell here can only hide and wait for it to end. On this night, the storm sends wind ahead of it. Flowing through the canyons of the Ila Valley, tossing tree boughs and stirring up snow already on the ground, it climbs, roils, and rages up from the plains as though sent by an unseen hand from the sea. It finally reaches a small house in the woods at the edge of a field, and as it blows against the house, it rattles the window shutters, waking up a farmer named Shamgar. He is grateful for this because it has saved him from a terrible dream. His body is drenched in sweat. His breathing comes in short gasps. A strange, paralyzing fear grips him. He has been having these nightmares every night for a month, but seems to forget the details when morning comes. All he remembers is terror and helplessness, and a man who hunts him for no reason. The shutters continue clattering. He feels his wife stirring next to him, and this encourages him to get up. He walks quietly to the front door. Putting on his cloak and slipping on his boots, he opens the latch as gently as he can and steps outside. The trees are shaking violently. The snow that fell the previous day is blowing so hard along the ground that it pelts his face with bits of ice. It takes him a moment to realize why everything seems odd. He looks up at the sky. It is clear, no clouds overhead, but the moon has turned the color of blood, casting a red glow on the snow and red shadows in the forest. The land is bathed in the eerie light. He wonders if he is still in the nightmare. After watching the moon a moment, he walks around the corner of the house and finds the loose shutter. He picks up a stone and braces the shutter closed, then hurries back inside. He latches the door shut behind him and stands in the quiet darkness. A blood moon. A god is angry. Something inside his mind urges him to put his hand on the latch, open it, and go outside again. He studies his field. Large enough to hold goats for a week in summer while they are milked for cheese, and large enough for his oxen team to graze in spring after plowing in the valley. Quail nest here all summer, and his traps reliably catch them. 10 years ago, he built the fence around the field and removed every stump in it, then built the house himself in time for his wedding. He knows every rock and tree. He looks around. Besides the weather and the red glow, all appears normal. But it feels like something is wrong, so he waits. The last time there was a blood moon, his living children had not yet been born. He wonders if he should wake them up to see it, then decides against it. Long day tomorrow. He will need to plead for the children, plead for everything else precious to him. Perhaps that is what caused the nightmare tonight. He rubs his eyes and searches around the meadow one more time, unable to shake the feeling of being watched. He looks left and right. The forest is dense. Even in winter, with the undergrowth barren of leaves, it forms a black wall at the edge of the meadow. Nothing. A strong gust shakes him as he returns to the front door. He reaches out and touches the door latch. He hesitates, then turns around and looks at the meadow. A man is standing at the edge of the forest. Shamgar calmly turns, lifts the door latch, and enters his home. Inside, he picks up a shearing knife from a shelf and goes back to the window. The shutter is closed tightly, but there is a small hole in the bottom to look through. The cold air seeping in makes him blink a few times. He can only see part of the meadow. He moves to another shutter and looks out again. The man is still standing there. He did not imagine it. Danger. But why would a bandit stand in the open to be seen, on a freezing night? It would not be worth any plunder at a poor farmhouse to take such a risk by himself. A messenger? Then why wouldn't he come to the door, or call to Shamgar when he had been outside? He decides that something more threatening needs to be in his hands before confronting the stranger. He walks to another corner of the room, where his ox goad is propped against the wall. He tucks the shearing knife in his robe and picks up the heavy herding tool. He is glad he brought it in earlier that day to rewrap the grip with leather strips. It is as tall as he is and has a thick oak wood handle. The head, made of Philistine iron, is a sharp point with a curved hook beneath it. On the base of the handle is another iron tip. Such iron is very rare in these lands. It is his most valuable possession, a wedding gift from his father. He returns to the door, lifts the latch, and goes outside. Chapter 2. The stranger is still standing at the edge of the woods. Shamgar watches him for a moment. Perhaps his eyes are playing tricks on him, and it is a stump catching the light. No, he knows this meadow perfectly. Nothing is there. He gathers his courage and crosses the meadow towards the man, holding his head erect and the ox goad in front of him with both hands. "Who are you?" he asks. The stranger is wearing a traveling cloak. His face is covered in the shadow of his hood. He holds a shepherd's staff. "Tell me who you are," Shamgar demands. He stops a few paces in front of the man. "Will you invite me in on this cold night?" The stranger's voice is calm. Shamgar has to shout to be heard over the wind, but the stranger does not. It seems as if his words dart between the gusts, finding perfect clarity. "I would need your name first," Shamgar says. "It is impolite to ask, son of Abraham." "You are mistaken. I am not an Israelite." "I am not mistaken." Shamgar frowns. "My family is inside, and I will defend them with my life. State your business here." "Your family is in danger, but not from me." Shamgar is about to raise his voice. Then an odd thing happens. The wind dies down suddenly. The trees stop swaying. The snow ceases blowing through the meadow. Shamgar looks around. He slowly lifts the ox goad, his knuckles straining on the grip. "Would you invite me in?" the man asks again. Shamgar hesitates. It feels dangerous here, but something else, too. He cannot discern it. He finds himself nodding. The man makes his way towards the house. Shamgar stays behind him as they cross the meadow. When they reach the door, the wind suddenly returns. Shamgar looks up the pass and sees snow clouds forming in the distance. When he enters, the stranger walks to the corner of the room and stands still. He never lets go of his shepherd's staff. "Can I take your cloak?" Shamgar asks quietly. "I will not be here long." Shamgar takes his seat by the fire and waits for him to say something. "The sign was in the sky," the stranger says. "The blood moon?" "That is what you call it, yes." "It has been years." "Philistines are coming." "They normally do in the spring. Bands of them take livestock or crops from us." "They are marching through the pass and will be in the boundary of blood today." Shamgar sits forward in bewilderment. "The pass? They always come through the valley below Azekah. And it is still winter. How can they navigate our mountains?" "They have been preparing. They know Ehud, son of Gerah, is dead, and your people are leaderless." "Why do you call them my people? I am the son of Anath, a Canaanite." "They will violate every woman, and they will take the children as slaves." Shamgar feels like laughing at this absurdity, but the stranger has no mirth on his face. "The men?" "The men will be left to plant crops and herd livestock, and all will be surrendered to Philistia at harvest." Shamgar is unsure of what to say, thinks about the nightmares he has been having. "Why now?" For the first time, the stranger smiles. "Yahweh has chosen you to stand against them." "The Hebrew God? Not even Hebrews believe in him." "He has chosen you." "Me?" The stranger nods. Shamgar tries to hide his confusion. He asks, "Why does he not choose a Hebrew?" "Yahweh's people have lost heart, and have whored themselves out to the gods of the land. Even so, he will deliver them, because he is faithful when they are not." Shamgar waits a while to respond. He shakes his head and laughs. "How am I to believe this? I am not a warrior." The stranger's smile is gone now, and Shamgar senses that he has offended him. "Go to the boundary and meet the enemy, and you will prevail." A noise in the corner of the room. Shamgar turns and sees his wife is standing in the doorway to their bedroom. "Why are you still awake?" she asks. "We have a guest." Shamgar turns to introduce the stranger, but the man is gone. He stares a moment. Then he stands up and walks to the door. His wife wraps her blanket tighter. What are you talking about? She asks through her yawn. Did you see him leave? Who? Shamgar opens the door and steps outside. The snowstorm is coming quickly up the valley. The wind is raging. Blowing snow obscures the edge of the woods. He looks down for any footprints. There are none. No sign of anyone. What are you doing? His wife asks. He was here. Who? The man. What man? Come inside. Shamgar shivers against the wind. He looks up. The moon is behind the clouds. Come inside. He gestures for her to be quiet. Straining his eyes, he searches the meadow. Then he walks around the house looking for tracks. Still nothing. Returning to his front door, he glances around again once more before going inside. Have you lost your mind? She wraps a blanket around his shoulders. What is going on? What is it about a man? Shamgar sits down next to the fireplace. Did you hear me speaking? He asks. What? Is that what woke you? Did you hear me speaking? Yes. So you heard the other man? I only heard you. What happened? She kneels at his feet and wraps his wet legs with the blanket. There was a man with me in this room. Perhaps it was a dream. No, he was here. I met him in the meadow under the blood moon and invited him inside. And he was here in the room with me when you entered. Then he was gone. A blood moon? There was a blood moon outside. She stops rubbing his legs and holds her finger up to quiet him. He can see her fight to keep her tone respectful. Shamgar, she says under her breath, we were sleeping. I woke up because I heard your voice. Shamgar looks at the fire, tries to concentrate, but all is vague. You have been laboring many days, she continues. You are exhausted. I'm certain he was here. What did he look like? He was, Shamgar considers it, something odd about him. Did he give you his name? Where he is from? No. Come to bed. I need to think for a while. You need to get your rest before going to see Zebulun tomorrow. Come back to bed. I believe we are in danger. We are always in danger. Bandits are everywhere. This is different. I saw him. He was here. He warned me. Warned you about what? Shamgar tells her what the man said, and as he does, her expression changes from concern to anger. When he finishes, she looks away. Are you trying to hide from Zebulun? Did you hear what I said? Philistines are coming. It is winter, but the blood moon was there. That is their sign. There are no Philistines. Are you trying to hide from him? Shamgar squeezes the arms of his chair to control his temper. I am not trying to hide from him. He is demanding his payment this week. We will lose everything if you do not persuade. I know this. It comes out louder than he wants. His wife sits back and wipes the corner of her eyes. Then she rises and walks to the fireplace. It is close enough to morning anyway. I will start preparing the meal, she says. Shamgar watches her work. After a while, he stands and says, I will leave to see him now. Don't go out now. It is very early, and the storm is... I will wait outside his house, he says, picking up his cloak. You should wait, she says, but he leaves without another word. Chapter 3. Shamgar walks through the meadow in front of his house. Dense clouds have filled the pass, and the wind is unrelenting. It feels like snow is about to fall. He reaches the forest and tries to quicken his pace, but the ground under the snow is uneven and slippery. Several times he slips and collapses. It normally takes an hour to walk to town, but it will take him longer today in these conditions. Was the man real? Philistines in the pass? A blood moon? It could all have been imagined. He is very tired, not been sleeping well. There is a shepherd's shelter nearby for use when sudden storms flash through the mountains and strand men tending their flocks. He decides to wait there until the sun rises. The shelter is nestled deep in the woods and cannot be seen by travelers on the trade road. It is small, only intended to be enough for one man. A small pen for sheep is nearby. Only a poor man's flock can fit inside of it. Shamgar built the shelter and sheep pen with other men in the valley several years ago, after a boy was caught in a snowstorm and froze to death, along with his family's herd. When he walks in, he lights the lamp with its flint and sits down on the mat. Thinks about lighting a fire in the hearth as well, but decides against it. Too tired. For a while he sits and stares at the floor, unable to decide what to do next. Escape with his family? They could never return to their home, and the shame it would bring to his father's name is unbearable. He feels his eyes getting heavy and lets himself lay down on a wool blanket. And he is there, with the stranger in the meadow, under the blood moon, the eerie glow making it look like the earth itself is bleeding, and the forest black in the blood shadows, and the stranger watches him, waits for him to speak. But he cannot speak, cannot ask his questions, for the night is cold, and his words do not come. The stranger glares at him, demands to know why he has delayed. And then the figure transforms, the cloak melting away into a fiery armor fastened to a warrior, terrible rage flowing from him as he commands Shamgar to answer. Shamgar wakes up in deep terror. Sweat drenches him. He kicks away the wool blanket, sees dim morning light seeping in under the door. It takes him a moment to remember where he is. Realizes he has been asleep for several hours because it is fully light now. He holds his breath and listens. All he hears is the wind. Snow is falling outside. It will be a miserable journey to Azekah. Surely his task can wait another day. He's angry at having another strange dream. And yet, this one felt different. Should I go to the city? He asks himself in the quiet room. Perhaps this God Yahweh will answer him aloud. He waits half-heartedly, knowing there will be no answer. The Hebrew God is invisible, the elders say. He no longer speaks with men. Shamgar decides to return home and come back another day. Perhaps Zebulun truly did forget about him. He can return later and find out. Before leaving, he looks around the shack to see if anything needs to be resupplied. The firewood is stacked, the blankets are dry. He chooses his steps carefully as he walks. After a while, he turns at the place where the path to his farm begins. Out of habit, he inspects each piece of fence as he passes through the woods. The wooden fence planks are rotten in many places. Much work to be done replacing them in the spring. Soon his house is in view. He walks to the barn and checks on the livestock. His pair of oxen are standing in their pen lazily chewing hay. The hens cluck as they hunt for grain left over from when he tossed feed the day before. Nothing amiss. He leaves the barn and walks the short distance to his front door, kicking off the snow from his boots before entering. Inside, his children are helping their mother clean ashes out of the fireplace. "It is snowing again," his son says as Shamgar hangs his cloak on the nail. "I noticed when I was walking through it," Shamgar says playfully. "Mama said you should have eaten before leaving," his daughter says. "Yes, she did. I should listen to her, shouldn't I?" He tussles the girl's hair as he takes his seat. His wife brings him a bowl of stew and he takes several bites. She sits down at his feet and asks him softly, "What are your thoughts?" "I do not know." "Did you go to Zebulun?" "No." "Where have you been?" "I needed some time to think." She frowns at him. "I don't understand. Are you hoping he forgets the debt?" Shamgar takes another bite, then sets the bowl down. Watches his son sweeping ash into a bucket with the broom. Of course he will not forget it. "What do you want to do?" his wife asks. "I think we are in danger from Philistines." She sighs and lowers her head, turns to the children and says, "We need to get more wood inside before snow covers all of it, and check on the animals when you pass the barn." They get up and gather their cloaks. "Where are my boots?" his son asks. "Where did you have them last?" "Here, I took them off here." When the children are finally dressed and gone, his wife paces near him with her arms crossed. "I know it was a mistake to take silver from him," he says. She does not look at him as she walks over and starts preparing flour. "I told you I regret it. I will work forever to repay it if I have to." "You should have listened to me," she says. "How many times will you need to say this? Our children will suffer for what you did. They will be poor their entire lives. That is ridiculous." She finishes scraping the ground wheat into a bowl and wipes her eyes with a rag. He feels 1,000 things ready to burst from his tongue. How they had discussed the transaction, and how it was a good opportunity to finally own their land, and how, for once, he would be a respected man in the valley. But these things have been said, many times. Shamgar decides he needs to leave before he says anything hateful. He stands up, hands her his bowl, and walks to his cloak. "I'm going to see Zebulun." "Don't go back out. I want this finished." He says it angrily enough that she knows to stay quiet. He walks outside, too upset to put on his cloak in the house. As he crosses the field, he sees his children emerging from the barn. "Are the animals well?" "Yes, father," his son says. "I will return later." He trudges into the woods. He wants to be angry with his wife, but he knows she has done nothing wrong. Shamgar wants to be angry with Zebulun, but he, too, did nothing wrong. The fault lies entirely with him. He shakes his head. A Philistine invasion. Nonsense. The path is easier to walk since he has already trodden down the snow, and he makes better time back into the pass. Nearby is a well that the women of the valley previously used to fetch water. It was a peaceful place away from the towns where they could gossip and socialize, where arrangements were made for helping during the harvests, where they plotted marriages for their children. Now, his wife and children are never permitted to leave their homestead without him, not for any reason. The attacks from bandits have been unrelenting. No road in the land is safe. When he reaches the trade road, he pauses and looks around the valley of Elah. To his right, the valley narrows as it climbs eastward up into the mountains. To his left, the valley bends north before returning to its westerly path. Overlooking this bend on a hilltop is the city of Azekah. Beyond that, the valley broadens until it reaches the Philistine cities on the coastlands. The valley of Elah is the most direct route into Hebrew lands, and the valuable trade roads to Damascus. It is where the Philistines always travel when they wish to show their power over the Israelites. In Joshua's time, Azekah was built to guard the valley and its vital access to the interior. If it falls, then only one place remains to stop an enemy, the place where he now stands. Cliffs tower on either side of him, small trees and brush tenaciously clinging to their sides. They call it the boundary of blood. Shamgar looks at the ground beneath him. Snow covers most of it, but a few stones remain visible. The legends speak of old days, when men chose a rock in this place to make their stand, commanded to spill their blood over it in death, rather than let the enemy advance. A narrow road traverses the pass south of here and ends at the boundary in the valley, known only to those who dwell in the region. This is where the stranger told him to go. But there are no Philistines in sight, and Shamgar wonders if he has lost his mind as well as his heart. Besides, Azekah might as well be a trading post instead of a fortified city protecting the land. Long gone are the days when the men who reside there would be willing to resist an enemy. Chapter 4. Shamgar continues west through the valley. In spring and summer, this is a place of grazing for the animals owned by the men of Azekah. Their shepherds fiercely guard the springs and streams from anyone seeking refreshment. More than once, Shamgar has had to track a missing goat into this part of the valley and confront them. It never ends peacefully. Azekah is full of cruel men, Zebulun among them. Soon he is ascending the road to the city wall. It looms over him from its place on top of the ridge where, on a clear day, one could see nearly the entire region. As he nears the gatehouse of the city watch, a watchman steps out and says, "Terrible day to be traveling, friend. Name and purpose?" "Shamgar, son of Anath. I'm here to speak with the elder Zebulun." "He chose a fine time for it. Storms all around and freezing cold. He's expecting you?" "Yes." The watchman walks back to the gate and opens the wicket entrance. As Shamgar approaches it, he asks, "Was there a blood moon last night? I awoke and thought it might have been." The watchman frowns. "I never heard a report of one. The men on the third watch would have said something." "Have you seen anything strange in the valley? Anything coming from the west?" "No, the clouds are low and it is hard to see very far. A few travelers here and there. We saw you coming from a distance, but there was no one else around you." Shamgar nods. "Thank you, friend." Ducking his head, Shamgar steps through the gate and into the town of Azekah. On normal days, this is a hectic, bustling place. Vendors shout and haggle, animals bleat and moan, children shout as they play. Hundreds of people crowd into the small courtyard where the elders sit on stools, conducting their business and greeting important men who come through the gates. Today it is nearly empty. The only other person he sees is a woman drawing water for her pitcher from a cistern. Shamgar lingers in the courtyard. Wind swirls the falling snow, building it up in the doorways and along the alley walls. Go to Zebulun about his debts? Try to warn the elders? He cannot decide what to do. The woman at the well finishes filling her pitcher and departs the cistern. He thinks about approaching her, but it would be very strange and would only serve to frighten her. Right before she disappears from sight, he decides to follow her. She makes her way down a small alley and opens a door to what appears to be an inn. He hurries to catch the door before she shuts it, startling her. She is wrapped in heavy cloaks and only her eyes are visible. He bows his head slightly. I need shelter. The den smells of aromatic spices and incense. A fire crackles in the fireplace, casting a warm, flickering glow across the room. Several young women sit in front of it, their hands busy with sewing as they chat happily. Shamgar steps inside, the scent and warmth enveloping him. As he begins removing his cloak, two of the women stand and approach him. One, a beautiful girl with a red shawl, smiles and says, "Why are you out on such a day? Let me take your cloak." He nods, his gaze lingering on her as she gently takes the garment from his hands. "I assumed there would be no visitors today," says the woman he followed from the well. She removes her own cloak, revealing herself to be around his age, her hair adorned with intricate braids and rings in her ears and nose. She must be the innkeeper, he thinks. A good place to start in a city when one is looking for powerful men. "My apologies for frightening you," Shamgar says, his voice steady but low. She smiles at him, handing her own cloak to one of the girls. "I saw you come through the gate. I should have asked if you needed a place to stay." "I need to find town elders to speak with. It is urgent." "On a day like today? Is something wrong?" Shamgar hesitates, feeling foolish. Wonders again why he has come. "Important matters. It is urgent." "I'm afraid no one will see you in these conditions." "Can you tell me where their homes are?" "Arrive unexpected at their homes? Then they are sure to listen to you." She says this playfully, and Shamgar looks at the floor with embarrassment. "I apologize for inconveniencing you." She steps closer. "It is no inconvenience, sir. Would you share your name?" "I prefer not." "I recognize you. You must live nearby. I see you in the market." "I will take my cloak now, please." She walks to the corner of the room, taking her time. As she slowly returns with his cloak, Shamgar notices the two younger women moving in behind him, subtly blocking his way to the door. He realizes at last what this place is and feels even more foolish. "You can stay here and wait for the storm to pass. Half the price, since it is a slow day," the innkeeper says. "I need to find the elders. It is urgent." "Tell me, and perhaps I can help." The one with the red shawl touches his wrist, her fingers warm and soft. It is time to leave, he knows. And yet, surely staying a few hours would not matter. Or a night. All is lost anyway. Philistines are in the boundary. He turns to see who said it, but the only ones present are the women. He feels the room grow still. And yet he heard it, the distinct emergence of a voice. Looks around again. No one there. He finally pulls his hand away from her and reaches for his cloak. "There is danger coming," he tells the innkeeper. The innkeeper seems to want to laugh at this, but she restrains herself. "Who is coming?" "Philistines." "Philistines always come here." "An army of them is coming to enslave the valley and take this town." "You saw them?" "No." "Then how do you know?" How is he supposed to answer? He had a vision? A dream? "Did you see the blood moon last night?" She laughs. "None of us are on the watch. How would we know?" That teasing smile emerges from her again as she watches him struggle to reply. "Philistines bring me good business," she says. "They will destroy everything this time." "Why do you believe this if you did not see them?" "I was warned." "Warned by who?" She waits for his answer, the younger women edging closer. It is all madness. No reason for him to continue on with this foolishness about false warnings of imaginary Philistines. He can wait here, then go home tomorrow. Tell his wife the storm trapped him. Sensing his resolve weakening, she says, "A third the price. My final offer. You can have the one from Ammon." She nods at the girl in the red shawl, who presses her hand onto his lower back and leans in. He smells the perfumed oil on her, feels her hair brush against his sleeve. Philistines are in the boundary. He turns sharply, searching the room. "What is wrong?" the innkeeper asks. "There is no one else here?" "There is no one." Shamgar watches them. Then he slowly pulls the cloak from her hands. "I am grateful for the offer, but I must leave," he says. "We will be here," she says with another smile, opening the door for him. Chapter 5. Outside, Shamgar inhales a long, steady breath. To get to Zebulun's house, he must go back through the courtyard. He makes his way across it, stepping carefully around the snowdrifts. A few merchants have opened their booths, though no customers seem likely to appear. The house is at the top of a narrow, steep alley. His boots slip on the ice-covered paving stones as he ascends it, using his ox goad for balance. Finally, he arrives at a wide door in the center of a high wall. 5 years ago. That was when he stood at this door and waited to see this man about alone. He takes another long breath to gather his courage and pulls the bell string. Soon the door opens and a slave girl looks out at him. "My name is Shamgar, son of Anath, and I have business with your master Zebulun." "My master is not seeing anyone today," she says, and starts closing the door. "Please, I owe him money. He will want to see me." She hesitates, then nods. "Wait here." She closes the door. He looks around. 2 men walk up the alley towards him, wrapped tightly against the cold, their breath visible in the frosty air. They move quickly, heads down, as if eager to escape the chill. No one else stirs in the deserted street, the silence broken only by the occasional howl of a wind gust. He feels his chin drop until it rests on his chest. So very tired. "Try not to slouch so much," his wife always tells him. He straightens up, forcing his shoulders back and lifting his head. The cold bites at his exposed skin. The 2 men pass by without a glance, their footsteps fading in the distance. Shamgar breathes deeply, feeling the crisp air fill his lungs. He flexes his fingers, trying to keep them from going numb, and shifts his weight from one foot to the other. The city feels strange. Normally there is life everywhere, even in winter. Especially in winter, because people have more time for leisure since the harvest is in. A stray dog trots past, sniffing at the ground, its fur matted and dirty. It glances at Shamgar with wary eyes before scurrying away. He watches it disappear around a corner, then returns his gaze to the empty alley. He thinks of his wife again, and the children. Nearly an hour passes as Shamgar stands at the door. His anger and frustration at being treated this way builds. But what can he do about it? The man inside this house owns him now. The door opens at last, and the slave girl gestures for him to follow her, latching the door closed behind them. He leans his ox goad next to the door frame and waits for his eyes to adjust to the dark. When he is ready, the slave girl leads him down a corridor. They eventually come to a room with several windows, all opened and letting in the cold wind and dreary light. An enormously fat man with a thick gray beard is laying on cushions next to a dining spread. Despite the chill in the room, Zebulun dabs the sweat from his forehead with a cloth. His wealth is evident in the abundance of food and the luxurious cushions that barely contain his sprawling form. The room smells of roasted meat and spices, a stark contrast to the outside world. "Farmer, I did not expect you to come to me. I was ready to send collecting officers from the town. You have all of it?" "My lord, I only have 100. Zebulun reaches over and grabs a piece of lamb from his plate, grease smearing his fingers. "That is 1/10 of what you owe to me. Part of the crop failed this year, and Philistines and Amalekites raided the rest. My oxen went lame. I could not hire out." "How are you going to pay it?" Zebulun asks, barely looking at him as he chews noisily. "I will work for you, lord." Zebulun reaches over for another piece of meat. "I have enough workers," he says. "My oxen along with me." "How old are the animals?" 10 years. Zebulun chuckles. "Only 100 and a pair of old oxen. Ridiculous. How long have you been in my debt?" 5 years, Lord. Zebulun dips a piece of bread into the olive oil and takes a bite. He studies Shamgar as he chews. I will take your children into my household for 5 years. Shamgar feels something churn deep in his chest. His legs grow weak. Lord, please, I beg for more time. I've already given you time. Please, I beg you, Lord. Shamgar kneels down and puts his head on the ground. The grit of the floor presses into his forehead. He searches for something, anything to say. Please, Lord, one more season. Zebulun takes another bite, wiping oil from his chin. Bring them to me by tomorrow, or I will have you and your wife sold as well. Shamgar keeps his forehead pressed against the ice-cold paving stone. Please, I will do what? I have rights to everything you own. Be grateful I am letting you keep your feeble oxen. Zebulun claps his hands together, and the slave girl appears. Shamgar slowly rises, looks at the girl more closely. Probably in her 12th or 13th year. A debt paid by another family. Lord, please, out! As Shamgar leaves, he sees several other children in the house, all busy with chores, their faces blank with resignation. No adult servants anywhere. At the doorway, he takes his ox goad and walks outside. He steadies himself with one hand on the wall of the house. The wind whips down the alley into his face. No part of him seems to work. His chest is numb, his legs shaking. He takes a step down the alley and slips on a patch of ice, landing hard on his side. Laying there a moment, he wonders if he should get up. It is cold enough to freeze to death. All he needs to do is wait until nightfall. No, someone would report him. He gets up slowly, his hip sore from the fall. After half walking, half sliding down the street, he reaches the courtyard again. More people are here now than earlier, but still only a few. Servants are brushing snow from doorways. He passes a mother and her children holding their cloaks up against the wind as they leave the cistern. Passes a stall where a butcher holds out a quarter of lamb to him, which he waves away. The city gate is ahead. The pain begins to emerge from deep within, a pain in what feels like his very soul. Desperate to numb it, he finds himself turning down the street to the inn. Chapter 6. The fireplace is roaring brightly with freshly piled wood, and this time the air is thick with fragrant myrrh, something he has smelled only a few times in his life. The warmth and scent wrap around him, making his head swim. A servant girl appears next to him, silently taking his cloak, her touch soft and lingering more than necessary. The innkeeper enters from another room, her eyes glittering in the firelight. She says she is glad to see him again, but his ears are ringing, and her words sound hollow, as if coming from a far distance. "Where's the one with the red shawl?" he demands, his voice husky. The innkeeper tilts her head slowly. "The Ammonite. I thought you might like her. She is expensive. I will pay it." "I heard you owe a great amount of silver to Zebulun." She says it flirtatiously, but he feels a surge of embarrassment, unsure how to reply. She touches his waist, then runs her fingers up his arm. "I inquired when you left. I know everything in my city." The weariness comes again. He knows what he looks like to this woman, a pathetic, desperate man. He hates being poor, hates being mocked, hates the woman in front of him with her gently scornful eyes. She sees the truth about us all, he thinks as he looks at her painted lips, the truth about every man. "Bring her out." The innkeeper smiles, waiting. He realizes she wants to see the money first. He reaches up and pats the pocket of his cloak. The coins clink together deep in the folds. His anger surprises him, but he does not restrain it. "Do you frequently humiliate your customers?" She steps back and bows her head respectfully. "Forgive me, sir. There are some who want the service and carry nothing with them. You understand." She gives him another coy smile as she departs the room. Two young women enter and recline on couches. They stare directly at him. Their gazes feel like physical touches, their boldness unsettling, and he is unsure what to do. No woman is so forward as to stare at a man, yet here is a place where they all do it. He looks around the room. Drapes of thick colored fabric over the windows, cushions on every chair and reclining couch. platters of dried dates and nuts. This is a place for the upper men, the men who reign and rule. The innkeeper returns with the red shawl woman. More of a girl than a woman, he decides. Her hair is curled and flowing down her shoulders. Jewelry on every finger, rings in her ears, painted eyes. She walks confidently up to him and takes him by the elbow. Her touch is light. Then, a glance, just for an instant, her eyes revealing something. Disdain, scorn, fear, all of those things in a single look. "Come, sir," the girl says, all smiling pleasure now. But he cannot make himself go with her. He saw what he saw. He steps back, gingerly taking her hand away from his arm. "Philistines are in the boundary." "They're not in the boundary," he says, turning around. No one is there. The room is quiet as they watch him. I'm sorry to have bothered you," he mutters, and steps backwards, reaching for the door latch. "What is wrong?" the innkeeper asks him. "I must be going. I am late." "You will pay for this girl," the innkeeper snaps at him, and he sees, finally, her pure disdain, part of her face in shadow, part of it in firelight. "I took nothing, I owe nothing. Give me my cloak, or I will notify the watch." The innkeeper laughs. "The watch? The chief watchman is my customer. You wish to complain to him?" Shamgar hesitates. The others in the room watch him in the humiliating silence. This must cost him something. It is what he deserves. He fumbles into his pouch, pulls out a handful of shekels, and hands them to the innkeeper. "For touching her, and for wasting your time." The innkeeper's smile returns, warmer than ever. "You are certain you wish to leave? We enjoy these games with you." Chapter 7. Shamgar thinks about their mocking eyes as he crosses the courtyard, and he thinks about the voice, certain he is losing his mind. When he arrives at the city gate, the watchman approaches. "Did you have your business with Zebulun?" "I did." "Your name? I need it for the records." "Shamgar, I told you earlier." The watchman raises his hands. "Apologies, friend. A lot of people come and go from here." "Forgive me, it has been a long day." A smile returns to the watchman's face. "It is only the noon hour. I pray that Yahweh will bless the rest of your day." "You are a Yahweh worshipper?" "He is the God of our people." Shamgar shakes his head. "No one seems to worship him." "Few worship him, it is true, but he did not become less worthy of it. If one man in the city can be faithful to him, perhaps he will give his blessing to us." Shamgar frowns. This is the first mention of Yahweh he has heard in a long time, apart from what the stranger told him last night. "Do you need anything else, friend?" the watchman asks, smiling at him again. It is genuine. Shamgar feels warmth for the first time this day. "No, thank you, though." The watchman opens the wicket gate for him, and he walks through it. The snow is not falling, a small mercy, but the wind is miserable, and the walk home will be long. He follows the tracks in the snow that he made earlier. The clouds are too low to see far today, but he can see the boundary, and there are still no Philistines in it. It comes into his mind, with crushing certainty, that he is about to surrender his children in slavery to Zebulun. This makes him slow down, then stop. How is he supposed to breathe? His throat feels constricted, like powerful hands are wrapped around it. A burning in his chest. Philistines are in the boundary. "Stop! Enough!" he yells, turning to look in every direction. "There are no Philistines in the boundary. Look for yourself." All he sees is the dark forest and the empty road into the valley ahead. He is alone. "Why do you torment me?" he says, quieter now, speaking to no one. He wonders if his own father imagined things at the end of his life. He was not a man who spoke often, never would have told Shamgar anything of the sort. But still, he wonders. He descends from Azekah and makes his way into the valley. The wind howls, the bits of ice sting, and he does not care anymore because he is thinking about home. Home, where he will tell his wife that their children are now slaves because of his debts. Death can be found in the cold stream bed nearby. He could lay in it and soak his cloak, then crawl into the snow. Freezing is like falling asleep. He will not feel it for long. He finds himself drifting to his left where the creek is. Standing on the bank, he sees that ice has formed on the edges, but water is still flowing. All he needs to do is lay down in it. Philistines are in the boundary. This time he does not startle. He remains still, listening. It is not an actual voice, as though a man were standing next to him speaking words. It is... what? What is it? He listens a moment longer, but nothing further comes. Finds himself stepping back from the creek bank, then turning away from it. Chapter 8. Shamgar hitches the oxen to the cart and takes them outside. His wife and children carry belongings from the house and start filling it up. He goes back inside and searches for his own things that will make the journey. He sees his wife coming through the entrance and stands aside for her. Waits for her to raise her eyes to him even once. She does not. It takes his family an hour to gather what they can carry. Food for a week, blankets and winter clothing, cookware. Each child has their favorite plaything. His son is crying loudly as he says goodbye to the hens. He loves the silly birds. His daughter is quiet, like her mother. The last thing Shamgar takes is the ox goad. He had a bronze sickle blade for years until it finally shattered last summer when he struck a rock during a lazy moment harvesting wheat. No money to have it fixed. This is all he has left, and it will need to serve as a weapon for the road. Much danger lies ahead of them. Such easy prey for bandits. One man with an attractive woman and 2 young children. If they make it 3 days without being captured and sold to slavers, it will surprise him. He looks at his family. His son watches him. His wife and daughter stand quietly waiting, staring at the ground. "We will return," he says as confidently as he can. This makes his wife finally glance at him, but her glare makes him turn away. Shamgar looks over his home a final time. The parts he inherited from his father, the parts he built himself. He glances at the edge of the clearing. Was it only last night that he saw the vision of the man? His world undone in a single day. He jabs the goad into the lead ox's hide, and the team starts moving, grateful that the snow is not too deep to travel through with the cart. He wonders how far they can get before dark. At least 5 hours travel, far enough to get out of the snow into the lower elevations. They will travel down the Elah Valley and take the interior road south to Judah. A tent is in the ox cart. His family can live in it for as long as necessary if someone will lend them the land to pitch it on. He has healthy oxen. This will save them. Few common men have such an advantage. He will offer himself and his team of oxen to the first farmer who could use his help. They are prosperous in Judah, close to Egyptian markets and able to sell excess grain to traders. They reach the valley road and he stops to adjust the harness on the animals. "You may get in the cart now. I will stay on the ground to lead them," he tells his family, and his wife helps the children crawl onto the back before climbing up herself. He pulls a blanket over them. "Thank you," his daughter says. She is the only one speaking with him now. "Stay warm, little dove. We will not travel far today." She nods at him. He feels the edge of his eyes start to burn with tears. Back to the front, he prods the oxen left and onto the westward road. The oxen shake their heads and give a low rumble of displeasure at the added weight. "Tch, easy," he says, as he pats them on the heads. The clouds hover on the tops of the mountains. The wind is steady, but the snow has held off. "When in despair, find one thing to be grateful for." His father's words. So be it. "I am grateful that the snow has not fallen again and made this passage more difficult," he mutters to himself. He takes several more steps and sees a snowflake, then another. The backs of his oxen are soon covered. There it is, the gods faithfully providing discouragement at the time of greatest need. He has tears, and since no one can see him, he lets them fall down his beard, freezing into ice as he walks. He does not bother to wipe them away. They travel around the bend, then another. The snow is falling very hard now, and the oxen are struggling to gain footing. "They might break a leg," his wife says from the cart. It is the first thing she has said since he told them they were leaving. She is correct. The oxen cannot be risked. He stops their movement. Shamgar looks around them for any type of shelter. Not far away, the forest reaches the valley floor in a gap between the steep slopes. He blinks away the snow as he studies it. A few of the smaller trees are bent over, forming an overhead shelter of boughs. Not much, but it is the only choice they have. He looks at his wife. She is watching him from under the blanket. Still no anger, only disdain. "We will wait over there," he says. She tilts her head slightly and shrugs. Shamgar prods the oxen into turning off the road, then moves to the front so he can check the ground. He remembers this area. It is a flat, grassy field in the summer months. As long as there are no hidden sinkholes, they should make it. Step after step, he guides them. Once, the supporting animal stumbles into the leader, and they both nearly fall, but the leader holds strong and manages to keep them up. Shamgar pats him on the neck. When the oxen reach the trees, he has them pull the cart through a narrow opening between the trunks. It is a good spot to wait out the weather. He can get the tent out, string it between the cart and the trees, and form a warm shelter. With his family out of the cart, he tells his son to build the fire and his daughter to help him with the ropes. His wife holds one end of the animal canvas as he pulls it taut over the edge of the cart. Wrapping it back around, he creates a tent shelter. The animals will not be exposed either. The trees are thick enough to shield them. Inside, his son has constructed a strong fire using wood stored in the cart. He reaches up to clear the ceiling vent from the tree boughs outside to let the smoke drift out. When all is settled, they sit close together and listen to the wind. "How far from home are we?" his daughter asks. "Not far," he says. "An hour's walk." "Then why are we here?" "We cannot go home, little dove. We must not be anywhere near it." "Not even for the storm?" Shamgar takes a moment to respond. They could have waited in their home and left the next morning. Zebulun would not have sent men that quickly. He is waiting for Shamgar to bring the children to him. They had time. Why rush out in such a panic? Can he not make a single wise decision? "Better to get it over with," his wife says. "We would need to leave tomorrow anyway, and they would have a better chance of catching us." "Why are we leaving?" His daughter keeps asking this, and it frustrates him. How many times must he be forced to, "Because your father borrowed silver from a man he should not have borrowed from, in spite of me warning him, and now the time has ended for him to repay it. The man has demanded you and your brother as payment. We cannot let that happen." "Why couldn't you find the silver to pay the man?" his daughter asks after a moment. Shamgar looks down. Finally manages to answer, "I tried." His wife opens her mouth to say something else. Shamgar braces for it, but nothing comes. In the dim light of the tent, he sees her staring at him. He knows her very well. She has restrained her tongue for the sake of the children. Chapter 9. The wind blows all evening, and the snow gathers around their tent. His wife passes around bread for a meal and melts snow for water. Soon they are asleep under their blankets. Shamgar watches the flames until they fade into coals. Sleep feels like a mistake. He will only wake up again, and the torment will resume. As snowfall patters against the tent, he feels his mind slipping. Finds himself thinking of the dancing at their wedding, with tambourines ringing and beads clattering as the virgins of the valley twirled around them, his father beaming with pride next to her father, his brothers teasing him. Her laughter. 20 years she has been his companion. Children lost, many hardships endured together. Thinks of the night disease killed their son, the day disease took their daughter, holding her through it all. Deep love that grew over time. Gone now. He feels so very, very weary. Slowly falls asleep. First, he feels a cold darkness. Then a gray light emerges, like twilight, and he finds himself standing on the edge of a vast sea. Far away are mountains, higher than any he has known. A fleck of sunlight sits on the jagged peaks. The azure sky above is clear, not a cloud in sight. A soft wind comes from the sea, carrying the faint scent of salt and distant pine. The surface of the water ripples gently. No waves roll in. It is eerily calm, almost as if the sea is holding its breath. He looks down and realizes he is not on a shoreline at all, but standing on the water itself. His feet are just below the surface, solid ground beneath them. But land is far away, a distant promise. When he musters the courage to turn his head, he sees that the mountains surround the entire sea, enclosing the earth. And then he sees the man. The stranger from the woods stands there, wearing armor of astonishing beauty, intricate designs shimmering in the dim light. His eyes are fixed on Shamgar's, intense and unwavering, as if they hold the weight of ages. Shamgar feels his breath catch, his chest tight with awe and fear. He notices a large basin in front of the man, appearing to be made of bronze, its surface glowing warmly. Inside, a fire blazes, the flames swirling and dancing as though alive. The stranger speaks, and his voice roars, powerful and deep, like it could threaten the stars above. Shamgar wakes up to a cold tent. His family is still asleep under their blanket. Snow and ice no longer pelt the roof. Dim morning light slips between the gaps of their shelter. He is afraid, unable to even move from this fear. It was only a dream, yet it was real. And the voice that has been haunting him. Philistines are in the boundary, and your delay offends him. Slowly he pulls out a few pieces of kindling and strikes the flint. The fire lit, Shamgar drapes his blanket over the children and crawls through the flaps. Calm outside. A fresh layer of snow covers the cart. If he did not know it was there, it would be hard to spot. The oxen are gone. He panics. Tries to remember if he tied them. He was so tired, so distraught, he might have forgotten. He searches the snow frantically for their tracks, but the drifts have covered any sign of them. He grabs the ox goad from the cart and stumbles wildly out of the trees. The pass is calm. Storm clouds hover on the peaks. Shamgar staggers forward through deep snow, desperate to find the oxen before his wife wakes up, and there is even more to blame him for. This angers him. Why should he even care what she thinks? He reaches the road and looks east and west. It takes him a moment to notice that the snow has been freshly trampled. At first he thinks it is the oxen, but it has been packed down from human footfalls, not hooves. Someone is standing in the distance. Nothing strange about this. It is a well-traveled highway, and Azekah is the most important town in the valley. As Shamgar continues, he sees that the man is now kneeling down. He appears to be studying something on the ground. "Greetings," he says as he gets closer. "I am looking for a team of oxen." With his back turned, the man continues his work, oblivious to Shamgar's approach. Shamgar circles to get a better view, but before he can close the distance, the figure stands and turns, exposing his face under the hood. It is a woman. She stares directly at him. He can see her eyes as she studies his movements. She has tattoos on her forehead and face. He notices now that her cloak is more of a temple robe than a traveling garment, deep green and black, and stitched with patterns of Philistine gods. He recognizes Dagon, but not the other one. It looks like a goddess. But who? "Do you need help?" Shamgar asks. A woman alone on the roads is unheard of, Philistine or not. Movement on his left. Now he sees that she is not alone. A man emerges from behind a tree. He is a Philistine soldier with full armor, an iron spear in one hand and an iron sword in the other. His helmet has a facial guard on it, and black horsehair sticks up at its crest. The breastplate of his armor is forged with great skill. This is obvious even from a distance. More men emerge out of the forest, at least 12 of them, dressed the same as the first one. Shamgar backs away. He bows his head submissively. "My apologies," he says in Philistine. He knows some phrases and words, but he hopes that they do not require him to speak more of their tongue. The woman watches him a moment. Then she steps slowly aside and reveals what she has been doing. Blood fills the snow around the body of a young girl. He sees a deep cut on her neck where the woman has slashed it. Shamgar feels something churn in his gut. He takes a step back. "The first virgin," the woman utters. Surprise crosses her countenance, then is quickly gone. She keeps her eyes fixed on him. "What are you doing?" he manages to say. The woman raises her arm, her bloody wrist holding a bloody dagger. She releases the weapon, and it falls point first into the snow. She speaks in the Israelite tongue now, in a sensual, low voice, and somehow this frightens him more than anything yet. Our army will not move past this place until your God has shown himself. Tell the men of Azekah to send their champion, and we will see whose God controls these lands. If no one comes, we will burn every man, woman, and child alive in this valley as a sacrifice to Ashtoreth. Shamgar takes a few steps backwards. He resists the urge to look towards his family at the ox cart. She smiles at him, turns her gaze to where his family waits, then back to him. Hurry along, farmer. Azekah has 1 day to send their man. She turns and walks away. The Philistine soldiers follow her, leering at him as they leave. Shamgar can do nothing but stand and watch for a long moment. Then he staggers forward and kneels next to the girl. She is still warm. The killing happened a short while ago. He touches her neck where the dagger slashed it. Young, soft skin. She is a Hebrew by her garments, and appears to be in her 8th or 9th year, the same age as his daughter. The woman is a long distance away now. The soldiers are behind her in an orderly column. He takes a few steps after them, then he stops. What does he think he can do? Attack them all himself? But that was what the warrior told him to do. Unless he is imagining this, imagining all of it. He wipes his wet face with the back of his hand, looks down the valley. They are disappearing around the bend. Philistines kill Hebrews. It happens all the time. It is not his affair, not his business. Shamgar looks back at the dead girl. Wind rushes up the valley and sprays his face with snow and ice again. It howls, rages, much worse than before. He raises his cloak to ward it off. When it calms for a moment, he sees that the Philistines are gone. This shakes him out of his confusion. He needs to get to his family and escape the valley. He starts running, then stops again. The woman said they have 1 day to answer the summons. This will be his reason to summon the elders. No more false blood moons. He can shout and pound on doors and do whatever it takes to get their attention. A murdered Hebrew girl and a troop of Philistines is worth rousing them from their firesides. Perhaps the city elders will be grateful for the warning and force Zebulun to give him more time. And the stranger, his command to stand in the pass. What if it is real? That Yahweh will use him? It is time to be brave, Shamgar decides, for once in his life. Philistines are in the boundary of blood. Chapter 10. When he gets to the cart, he pulls aside the tent flap. His wife is warming bread on a stone next to the fire, his children sitting under their blankets waiting for it. The oxen are missing, his wife says curtly. We need to move now. He grabs the blankets from the children, who groan in protest. What is the hurry? His wife asks. What is going on? Where are the oxen? The Philistines are coming. We must warn the city. His wife has been getting to her feet to help him. Now she stops. I saw them, he continues. We must get to the city before they come. Tell me what you saw. Do what I say. She turns, resigned, and starts picking up bags of food and water. Where are the oxen? His wife asks again. They got loose in the storm. I don't know. How are we supposed to pull? Stop arguing with me, Shamgar yells. It is so loud, so violent, that the children draw back to their mother, terror on their faces. She pulls them close to her. You're scaring them. Shamgar stops moving, takes a long, slow breath, decides he needs another one, and takes it, too. I saw them. It was exactly as the warrior told me. His wife looks down. It is a long moment before she speaks again. How dare you speak of visions? It was not a vision. And how dare you frighten our children and lose our oxen? They escaped. I thought I tied them. And how dare you lose our home? He has no answer. Her sobbing erupts from a deep place within her. We will be disgraced forever. My father shamed. Our children have to carry your name, and you have shamed them. You have shamed them. The last part comes out as a wail, not a shout, and she drops to her knees, the sobs no longer controlled. She weeps into the sleeve of his son. You ruined us, she says between the gasps. And now you would take them right to the city where they will be enslaved because you are a coward. Gone are her attempts at being respectful for the sake of the children. Now it is all before them, all under the sun, everything said. They stand as a family in the forest, tears on the children's faces, tears on his wife's face. There is nothing he can do but drop to his knees. All of his strength has dissipated. Slowly, he says, "We need to leave. The cart is well hidden. We can return later and get it." She seems to gather herself. "What about the oxen?" "I will find the oxen later." "At least take us back to our home. Force Zebulun to come and get them." His mind is inflamed at her obstinance. But what else could she be expected to say? What else could she think? "If I can show you that they are coming and that we are in danger, will you follow me?" The glare eases the slightest bit. She takes a quivering breath. She wipes her eyes quickly and stands up. "Very well. Children, we need to go." She puts the pack over her shoulder. "We will follow." He looks for something in her eyes, anything. She gives him nothing. He turns and leads them out of the woods. Shamgar keeps some distance between himself and his children, not wanting them to see what is ahead. As soon as he can make out the girl's body on the road, he kneels down in front of his daughter to block her view. "My dove, I need you to stay here with your brother while I show your mother something." She pulls back from him slightly. He sees fear in her. Remembers he just yelled at her like she was an enemy. "Do you forgive me for shouting? I did not mean to frighten you." She nods, relaxes a bit. He looks at his son. "Can you protect your sister a moment? We will be back quickly." The boy nods. Shamgar gestures for his wife to follow him. As they walk, Shamgar says, "Prepare yourself. It is a terrible thing." She does not respond. When they are close enough, he holds his hand up to point. His wife looks up and lets out a gasp, putting her hand over her mouth. So much blood has drained from her corpse that her flesh has a gray pallor, and a dark stain surrounds her on the ice. A light layer of snow covers her garments and her hair, giving her a ghostly appearance. "Oh, God of my people," his wife mutters. Shamgar tells her quickly about the woman, the soldiers, and the instructions for Israel to send its champion by tomorrow. His wife listens without looking away from the dead girl. "She said her goddess was testing the Hebrew God to see if he controls the boundary into Israelite lands," he continues. "They will burn every home and village in the valley." His wife approaches the body slowly and leans over it. "It is Azariah's daughter." Another farmer in the pass. A good man. Azariah and Shamgar occasionally help one another with tools and labor. Shamgar puts his hand out to his wife, and this time she turns and buries her face in his chest. He holds her tightly. "Tell me again what he told you. The man who came to you." With these words from her, it feels like a yoke has fallen from his neck. He is no longer alone. "He said Philistines were going to come through the boundary." He hesitates. "And that Yahweh, the Hebrew God, was commanding me to save his people." "You?" "It makes no sense to me either." "You believe this message?" "I do not know." She puts her head on his shoulder. "I am sorry for doubting what you told me," she says. "You had every reason to doubt me." Shamgar lets go of her and kneels down. He brushes snow onto the corpse of the girl to hide her from view. "Stay here and wait for me to bring the children past." He walks back through the drifts to his daughter and picks her up. His son steps in his footprints as they walk. His wife is kneeling down near the corpse, blocking the view. "What is wrong, Mama?" his daughter asks. "I am fixing my sandal," his wife says, smiling. "I will be right behind." Shamgar passes her and leads his family onto the boundary road. Chapter 11. Shamgar's daughter holds his neck tightly as they ascend the hill to the city gate. His wife pulls along their son by the hand. The watchman emerges from the gatehouse and holds up his hands. "I see you brought the family this time," he says, smiling warmly. "Please, we need to warn the city." "Warn the city about what?" "Philistines are coming." The watchman chuckles. "Philistines always come through." "They are coming to burn the city." The watchman waits for a smile or a laugh. "I am not teasing. Please, let us in. A girl is dead. I need to see the elders, truly." The watchman sees their expressions and his smile fades. You know where to find them? I know where Zebulun lives. He can lead me to the others. The watchman looks at the ox goad. The only weapon I have, Shamgar says. The watchman opens the wicket entrance, and Shamgar leads his family through. They hurry across the courtyard and turn past the entrance to the inn. Shamgar, afraid of being recognized, hopes one of the innkeeper's women is not out in the streets, but the city is quiet. The market vendors who opened earlier must have changed their minds. He climbs up the alley to Zebulun's house. Ice on the stones makes it a slow walk. When they finally reach his door, he pounds on it with the ox goad. The same slave girl from earlier answers. As soon as she sees him, she opens the door wider. My lord is in council with the other elders. Here? No, sir. Tell me where. I cannot, sir. His wife steps closer. Please, dear one, tell us. What we have to tell him is very important. He gave very strict instructions. He is not to be disturbed. I am sorry. She starts to close the door. Please, Shamgar says, sliding his hand into the doorway to block it. This is life and death. Life and death. I am sorry, sir. I cannot. Shamgar suddenly grabs her by the throat and shoves his way through the door, pinning her against the wall. She gags, terror in her eyes. Tell me now, or I vow by your God I will kill you here. Shamgar! His wife tries to pull his arm away. His daughter, whom he is still holding in his other arm, cries and struggles against him. The slave girl tries to nod, and Shamgar eases his grip. The slave girl holds her throat, her face lowered in fright. There is a council room in the square. They convened an hour ago. Shamgar turns and hurries down the alley. He puts his daughter down and pulls her along, occasionally sliding on the ice until he reaches the bottom. You did not have to threaten that girl, his wife says behind him. There is no more time. You need to calm down, she says, though her own voice is agitated. He reaches out to steady her. She wipes away another tear. Where do you want us to stay? She finally says. He curses to himself as he remembers that she and the children cannot enter a council. They could be stoned on sight. Is there no one in the city we can go to? He shakes his head. Most of the men he knew in the city either died or left years ago. He knocks on the nearest door. A woman opens it, listens briefly to his story, and closes the door before he finishes speaking. He does this at several more homes, frantically beating on all of them, until someone yells that they are summoning the watch if he does not stop. Shamgar leads his family back to the courtyard. None of the vendors are willing to help him either. He is threatened again with the watch, and this gives him sudden hope that he knows where to go. Can my family stay in your shelter? Shamgar calls out to the gatehouse as they draw near. The watchman emerges and shakes his head. I'm sorry, my friend, but no one can stay in it, for any reason. Those are the commands. Only for a bit until I can speak to the elders. I am sorry. We are asked all the time by travelers, and it has been forbidden. Please. They will be safe in the courtyard, but it is freezing out here. His wife touches his arm. We will find a place. You must hurry. Shamgar looks around angrily. People around the courtyard only stare back at him, unwilling to help a desperate man. Is the council room still down that alley? He asks, the watchman. Yes. I will be back soon, Shamgar says to his children. Do exactly as your mother says. He knows where the council room is because he once had to settle a dispute with a neighboring farmer. Another failure in his life, he thinks bitterly. When he gets to the door, he takes a moment to calm himself down, because Zebulun will be inside. He will be the impossible one to convince, will turn the others from even listening to him. Hebrew God, if you are there, this is the time to begin helping me, he mutters under his breath, and pushes the door open. Chapter 12. Lanterns light the entry hall. Two servants stand near the door and seem startled Shamgar did not knock. Across the hall he sees a room with men seated, lit by several windows on the walls above them. One of them is talking, then stops. Who is there? What is this? The speaker yells. Shamgar hands his ox goad to one of the servants, who takes it in bewilderment and walks into the chamber. Lords, forgive my intrusion, but Philistines are invading. They have given a challenge of the gods. The men in the room look around at each other. Who are you? What do you mean invasion? The speaker asks. This man is a farmer in the pass near the boundary, comes a familiar voice, and Shamgar closes his eyes to steady himself. He owes me his children as payment on a loan, and it appears he is trying to distract from that. Lord, I saw them. Who? Philistines. They killed a girl from the valley and are gathering an army to come to the city. They are giving Azekah until nightfall to send their champion. Zebulun rises from his seat. He walks toward Shamgar, his posture erect so his belly protrudes through his cloak. Shamgar has a sudden urge to ram the tip of the ox goad into Zebulun's gut. We could stone you for interrupting us, Zebulun says. That will not change anything. They are coming. Philistines, you say? Yes. Zebulun stares at him casually. He turns and walks in front of the council seats. This man owes me 1,000 shekels of silver. He says he cannot pay it, so I am claiming his children as debtors' rights. There is murmuring among a few of the men in the room. Shamgar feels his temper rising. My debts are not why I am here. You must all warn the city and help me stop them. This leads to laughter in the room. Zebulun paces around Shamgar, his breathing heavy with effort. He dabs his sweating forehead with a cloth. Shamgar tries not to look at him. Where is this girl? An older man in the corner is the one who asks this, and Shamgar turns to him in relief. The boundary of blood. They are provoking Yahweh. The old man stands, slowly, and makes his way to the floor. Everyone waits respectfully. Shamgar finally recognizes him. His name is Meshullam, and he was at the city gates for business once when Shamgar visited. Meshullam is near his 60th year, and has scars from disease on his neck and face. One of his eyes is clouded, and he needs to tilt his head to be able to look at something. He holds power in this room because other men have not contested the conversation. I am Meshullam, the son of Ira, he says, when he reaches the center of the room. We met once, Lord, Shamgar says. You are speaking the truth? I vow it, Lord. He is lying. How would they have marched past the city without being seen by our watchmen? Zebulun says. Perhaps the weather hid them, Meshullam answers. Shamgar looks around at them. I am a ruined man, but I am not lying about this. All I ask is that someone come and see the girl. Test what I say. Whose son did you say you were? Asks Meshullam. I am the son of Anath, a farmer in the pass for 40 years. I knew of him. Honorable man. Thank you, Lord. Zebulun scoffs at this and picks up his cane. I will remove him from the room and we can continue our business. Does anyone dispute my right to his children as servants? The men look at one another and seem to settle back in. Shamgar tries to keep his voice calm, but feels his desperation growing. Lords, I do not dispute this man's claim to my children. That is not why I am here. Indeed, I was fleeing from Zebulun this very morning. This causes more commotion. Zebulun grins at him and walks closer. His belly is near Shamgar's waist. Shamgar has never wanted to strike a man more in his life. See, he admits to fleeing a debt. His wife is now forfeit to me as well. And yet he did not actually flee, says Meshullam, tilting his head to see Shamgar with his good eye. The man risks much coming here and admitting this. We ought to investigate his claims. Zebulun dabs his forehead and chuckles. You will go out on a day like this? Why would an army from the plains ever come in winter? Why would they be coming at all? Shamgar knows the answers to all of these questions and starts to speak. Then he remembers it was told to him in a vision, and he needs to be careful. He says, They could be coming into the boundary on the forest road from the south, and I believe they have a new goddess. The woman I saw appeared to be a witch or a priestess, but not from Dagon. She said the name Ashtoreth. Meshullam has been pacing slowly around the room. He pauses. The south? That road is far too long for them to use from the plains, and they would not know how to follow it. Lord, they are determined to destroy us. Parading in front of our city straight up the valley would have given us warning. They could already be between Azekah and the rest of the Israelite lands. All that stops them now is the God challenge. Zebulun starts to protest again, but Meshullam raises his hand. A new goddess, you say? He asks. Yes, Lord. Meshullam turns to the room. Does anyone else wish to speak? A few voices raise, but one shout is heard above them. I have heard of this goddess. Shamgar turns and sees Nahor, son of Anaiah, rising from his seat. He feels deep relief. He has known Nahor a long time. I did not know you were in this council, Nahor. I inherited the seat from my father, Nahor says, smiling at him. When did he die? Last year. Shamgar bows slightly. He was a good man. I would have spoken up in your defense earlier. When Meshullam stood, it would have been against our protocol until he was finished. Nahor turns to the others. I will accompany the farmer to the boundary and verify what he claims. I can speak for this man's character. He might owe many debts, and I do not dispute Zebulun's claim on his children if he himself does not. But if Shamgar son of Anath says a god challenge has been issued, and Philistines are coming, we must listen. And yes, I have heard that a new goddess has influence over the Philistine kings. This causes more commotion. Meshullam holds his hands up to quiet them and looks at Shamgar. With Ehud dead, we no longer have a champion in all of Israel, much less this city, Meshullam says. Nahor places his hand on Shamgar's shoulder. I say again that I will accompany Shamgar to the boundary. If what he says is true, it is a terrible emergency. If it is not, he could turn over his children to Zebulun this very day. Is that agreeable to all? You swear before these men that this is not an attempt to hide your debts? Meshullam asks. I swear it on my father's honorable name. If Nahor accompanies him, then this is worthy of our time to consider. There are nods all around. Zebulun raises his hands and shakes them to give his begrudging assent. Nahor guides Shamgar out of the room. Shamgar takes his ox goad from the servant at the door before stepping outside. Nahor pulls his cloak up to his neck against the wind. You chose a fine day to disrupt our honorable gathering. We weren't going to meet until after the weather passed, but Zebulun wanted a decision on a tax at the gate before the next caravan arrives, Nahor says. Shamgar realizes that Nahor does not believe him. Philistines are coming, Nahor. Nahor smiles grimly at him and lowers his voice. I understand your desperation, friend. I can help you escape with your family. There will be no escape for any of us. They are coming. Nahor shifts on his feet. We have known one another a long time, our fathers before that. You do not need to lead me on like the others. I will make it seem like you had no choice, but to... Nahor, listen to me. They are coming. You must see this girl's body. Nahor lifts his palms and steps back. I did not mean to offend you. Shamgar shakes his head. I am sorry. I have not slept well in a long time. He continues walking. You said you have heard of this Ashtoreth goddess? She does not have her own temple yet, only dedicated followers. They say the king of Gath has her priestess on his council. She is called the Handmaiden of Ashtoreth. That must have been her I saw on the boundary. He and Nahor enter the courtyard, and Shamgar looks around for his family. Vendors and more townspeople are out, but he does not see them anywhere. My wife and children are here somewhere, he says. Did no one take them in? Shamgar shakes his head. The city used to be more welcoming. My father made certain of it, Nahor says. Shamgar is about to return to the gate and ask the watchman when he notices the door of the inn nearby. He walks over to it. Nahor looks around. Do you know what this place is? Yes, and the women here know more about what happens in this town than anyone. Shamgar knocks on the door, trying to hide his nerves from Nahor. Soon it opens and reveals the innkeeper. She appears to be expecting him by the way she smiles. Did you see a family in the courtyard? He asks her before she can speak. They were seeking shelter, a woman and 2 children. I'm trying to find them. We are here, comes the voice of his wife, and he sees her standing behind the innkeeper. Chapter 13. At first, Shamgar can only stare at his wife. He feels something hollow in his chest as he rests the ox goad on the entry post. But the innkeeper's smile is warm. When I saw them in the courtyard, I was worried, and I brought them in. She has been telling me about the Philistines, she says. I told her you stopped here yesterday seeking shelter before returning home. Thank you for letting them stay here, Shamgar says. The woman nods politely. He sees something in her eyes. Your secret is safe. Shame washes over him. What have the elders decided? She asks. I will accompany Shamgar to the boundary, then return and give a report to the elders. If this is genuine, we will decide what to do, Nahor says. It is genuine, Shamgar says sharply. An Israelite will need to fight their champion. He hesitates. Can my family stay here until I return? He asks the innkeeper. Yes, if they help prepare the evening meal for travelers who arrived earlier. This is the safest place for you while I am gone, Shamgar says to his wife. She nods and embraces him. He kneels down and hugs his children tightly. Shamgar follows Nahor to the door, where the innkeeper has opened it for them. He picks up the ox goad from the entry post, and as he leaves, he feels the innkeeper watching him. Shamgar and Nahor make their way across the courtyard. "If I had known you were here, your family could have stayed at my house. You can bring them now if you wish," Nahor says. "I am grateful for your offer, but they need something to occupy them while I am gone." At the gate, the watchman opens the wicket to let them through. "We will be back shortly," Shamgar tells him. "Did they listen to you?" "Not yet. Nahor is coming to verify it." The watchman bows to him respectfully. Shamgar thinks about it and asks, "Can you come as well?" The watchman looks at the sky. "More weather is coming. This is very important. We need more witnesses. Let me speak with the commander." The watchman returns to his gatehouse and then reemerges with an older man, who appears annoyed that his afternoon rest has been disturbed. "What is this about Philistines?" Nahor says, "There is a dead Hebrew girl in the boundary. This farmer says she was killed by a Philistine priestess as a god challenge, and that an invasion force is coming from the south through the boundary of blood." The watch commander offers no immediate response. He calmly looks from Nahor to Shamgar, then back to Nahor. "That is quite a lot." "Yes," Nahor says, and Shamgar notices a slight curl at the edge of his mouth. Nahor still does not believe him. This saddens more than angers him. But the watch commander does not mock him. Instead, he says, "You are prepared to swear this? If you are lying, you will be tied to the post and whipped for spreading a false threat." "I swear it by every god," Shamgar says. The old man nods. "How far away?" "An hour's walk. Half if we hurry." The watch commander turns to the watchman. "This could be nothing, but to be safe, have the men on the wall pace the routes faster, and tell the reserves to be ready. I will be back in several hours." The watchman bows and holds the wicket open. Gathering his cloak and sword, the watch commander steps through the gate, followed by Nahor and Shamgar. As they descend the road toward the valley floor, Shamgar recounts for the watch commander all that has happened, leaving out the stranger in the visions. When he is finished, the watch commander says, "What was she wearing?" "A green robe." "Be more specific. Describe it." Shamgar concentrates on his memories. "It had silver weaves in it, like a pattern. Dagon and a goddess." "Never heard of it," the watch commander answers. "I suppose they do find new gods and goddesses frequently down in the plains." Nahor tries to walk closer to him, but Shamgar is too angry to speak with the man. The sooner he can show them the corpse, the better. The way is clear ahead, a high cloud ceiling but no snow falling yet. After an hour, they turn the corner in the valley and ascend the narrow pass at the edge of the boundary of blood. "In the old days, we had a watch posted here," the watch commander says. "Best place to defend against invasion in the valley, and you could guard against someone coming from the south through this road. 100 hard men can stop 1,000s. Gath itself could not get through here in all their hordes." He points to a spot nearby. "My blood rock is there." "Mine is further down. I wanted to get my death over with quickly should it come to that," Nahor says. The men laugh at this, and Shamgar feels his anger dissipating. Nahor is a good man. If more good men appear, it could be done. A light layer of snowfall covers the girl, but the pool of her blood is still dark against the white. Nahor and the watch commander walk up to her silently. The watch commander kneels and brushes off some of the snow. "You knew the girl?" he asks. "I know her father," Shamgar answers. Nahor seems stunned. Shamgar waits for him to say something. A long moment passes. The watch commander says, "Did anyone witness the killing besides you?" Shamgar shakes his head. The watch commander sighs. "It will be difficult proving it was Philistines who did this. What do you say, Lord?" Nahor does not respond. He is looking behind them. They emerge, first dozens, then hundreds, an endless snake of a formation stretching down the road. The air grows thick with the sound of their boots pounding the earth, a rhythmic thunder that reverberates through the valley. Armor glints in the pale light, each soldier clad in dark iron, casting shadows on the snow. Banners flutter in the wind, emblazoned with the fearsome symbols of their gods. The ground seems to tremble under their weight. The clinking of weapons and guttural commands barked in a harsh tongue. Spears and swords gleam in the winter light. The sheer number of them is overwhelming, a relentless tide of death and conquest, each step bringing them closer to their prey. All three men understand that the worst has happened. The Philistines have bypassed the valley and marched through the mountains, and now they are fortifying the boundary of blood. "I apologize for doubting you," Nahor says.